Previously on the diary.
Bobby comes in through the door, stumbling. He falls to the ground. Mr. Morgan stops writing on the board to look at him. A gun being held up in the air hovers into the room, followed by a long, pale, spidery arm attached to Rocco. Without hesitation, he starts shooting at Mr. Morgan and Bobby.
The doctor grabbed a clipboard and started writing the time of death. So I ran away. I found that guard, snatched his gun, and ran back. I kicked the doors open and walked in holding a hostage at gunpoint. You are going to save Jessica now, I said. I've spent many hours by her side, telling her stories about things that happened before we ever met. I really hope it's true that she can hear me. It'd be a shame to find out all those moments I really spent alone. 2 days ago, Jessica's doctor said she would lose both legs above the knee, and I pleaded with her to make an effort. In my heart, I know she did everything she could. 3 doctors from other hospitals came to look at her case before those crucial 12 hours passed. Collectively, the efforts of everyone saved her legs. Ta-da! And as I was sitting on a branch 12 feet above the ground, dangling my feet in the air, I saw my sister enter the park and walk straight up to this tree. And so, with a subtle pull of a string, down came a plastic spider that fell right in front of Dorothy's face and made her fall back all the way down to the grass and dirt below us. She lost consciousness.
What if both Mom and Dad were absolutely guano crazy and none of us is really one kind of twin or the other? What if both of us are just bad people because being bad makes more sense or is more fun?
But being bad is in my blood. I have infected others with my blood. That's just not how biology works. Well, I'd love to continue our family reunion, but she needs an ambulance, so I'm gonna dial 911 now.
911, what's your emergency?
The following takes place on July 16th, 2015.
Dear Diary, Dorothy will be okay. She has a cracked rib and a twisted wrist, but that's all. She didn't remember what happened, but as soon as I mentioned the word spider, it all came back to her. It really made me nervous seeing her silently frowning with some rapid eye movement until she finally said, "That was a really big spider." Phew, she doesn't know it was a plastic one. After that, we just chatted for a while. I was really enjoying our conversation until I linked the imagery of Dorothy on the hospital bed and me sitting by her side with Jessica. As bitter as I was about how we left things, I still really missed her. And then, I thought of the perfect thing to say to Jessica. So I said goodbye to Dorothy, we agreed to stay in touch because she's so cool, and I took a bus back home. On my way, I kept obsessing over several things my sister said. She pretty much made me feel like a nematode for thinking there is something wrong with my blood. Maybe there really is nothing wrong with me. Maybe I still have a choice. What does it matter how our dad died, whose fault it was, who killed him? Life is a series of choices, and sometimes we make bad ones, possibly on purpose, hopefully by accident, maybe because we thought there was no other way. And then thinking of this, I realized, what if that's what happened to Bobby and Mr. Morgan? What if they didn't break bad just because they took a dose of my blood? What if that was just their reaction to what Rocco did to them? They were shot and almost killed. They must have felt defenseless. They must have felt betrayed. They must have felt like victims. Life is a beautiful thing, and it's short and it's fragile. It's hard enough to survive all the death traps in our everyday routines. To have a snotty little brat think he's entitled to decide your fate or whether your life has gone far enough when you've done nothing to deserve being part of their broken thought process. That would certainly piss me off too. That would get some reactions from me as well. Which sounds exactly like what I've done every time something awful happens to Jessica. What if there really is no good or bad people? What if it's just their ability to empathize with others? My sister sounds like a total psychopath because she can't seem to place herself in the shoes of the ones she hurts to vicariously experience the world through their eyes before she makes a decision that only benefits her at the expense of others. And I don't know what I sound like. But what if what I have is just an overwhelming level of empathy? What if I just feel too much the injustice of others that I can't help but try to fix a few things here and there on behalf of those who can't or won't do it themselves? And sure, it must be more complicated than just that. There's people you love who come first, and people you hate. People who deserve what's coming to them, and strangers who need protection. And there are people who make mistakes but continue on like a train with no brakes. And people who admit they're wrong and turn around and try to fix what they broke. And so, instead of heading straight back to the hospital to see Jessica, I went back to the arts teacher's house. She too was a victim of the McConaughey twins and did not deserve what I did to her.
I kept wondering if I should go through with it as I thoughtlessly added the zombie nematode eggs to her dish. But I came back to myself only to notice that the arts teacher had already started eating.
She was hungover, and I gave her one of my pills, told her she was taking an aspirin. I hope it's not too late for her. And she doesn't actually develop any long-lasting symptoms from the zombie nematodes. I found a bottle of Advil in her medicine cabinet, and I replaced them with half of my pills. I told her to take one daily, and she would feel much better.
I could see the same scratch marks on her arms as mine.
So there, I've done my part. Now it's up to her. I wish her well and no harm. And for a second there, I felt better. Like it meant something. Like it could be true. That there really is a chance that I'm not stuck having to be the evil twin anymore. Love, C.